What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mongols, brought to you by the Beautiful Game Network. I'm Mike. With me is Kev. It's the second week in a row that we've gotten a Lilley special. Could this be a trend? We're gonna break it all down. Let's go! I wasn't expecting you to lean with me.
Just collective efforts here. Everything's a team.
Yeah. No Josh thus far. We shall see if he shows up. I know we talked last week about how they were supposed to go on the trip. I know they didn't go on the trip. He was at the game this weekend. Not sure how he's feeling. So he may bounce in here. We'll see. Kev, what's going on with you?
Nothing much. Just getting back in the swing of things. Had a pretty good weekend. I think the weather is kind of peaking right now in Knoxville. I mean, last night, Riley and I live near a park that we can kind of walk to. Very fortunate, and like we'll just like take like a little sandwich and some chips over and just sit on a bench and just kind of appreciate the evening. I mean, yesterday it was like 72 and breezy, no humidity, and we're just sitting and eating a sandwich. So
You
it's
guys,
great.
you guys are the old couple from Up. You know that, right? Like,
Yeah, it's great. That's what I like.
oh,
No, doing good. Had a good weekend. How about you?
not
I
bad. I
saw
was
I
going to
saw a
ask.
video of you cutting down a tree.
Yeah. So we this weekend, it wasn't meant to be like a ton of yard work or anything like that, but we had stuff we had to get done, and it was like supposed to rain off and on. And so finally Sunday morning I got up and I said heck with it. We got a bunch of mulch, so I moved some mulch around, and then there's this tree it's an ornamental pear tree, which is an invasive species, which you're like, how can trees be
Hmm.
invasive? Basically, they produce fruit. They're not from here locally. Then they produce fruit. Birds eat the fruit, drop the seeds, and then the trees like smother out other trees from growing. So it was here when we moved in. Decided to chop. We let it flower out so that the bees could get the flowers, and then once the flowers dropped off before it could turn into fruit, chopped it down. And it went pretty. I was shocked. Like we had the whole thing cleared in like 2 hours, but it was awesome because we never grew up like splitting firewood. Like we're not like manly men like that,
Nope.
right? And
I am not a
so
manly man.
no, and so you just talked about eating your sandwiches in the park. So
Exactly.
so I've had logs in the past that I've tried to split with an axe, but without like a solid surface to put it on. It's just comical. Like it's like you're trying to hammer a log into mud. Like it just doesn't work. And
Right.
so now that I have this stump, I was like, oh, I'll give this a try and just see. It was like cutting butter. Like for a while, I was like, I'm just not strong enough to split wood. Like that's just what it is. And this, I could like sneeze, and the whole thing was like, whack. So
Nice.
now I feel like any chance I get to go out and split wood, I'm like, yeah, let's go do this. Like gives me some bravado. I feel good about myself. So yeah, that went well. But yeah, otherwise we were just sort of here hanging out, trying to get some stuff done. I don't know how much coverage you saw, but Knoxville's team in, was it League Two, had their kickoff. Looked like a pretty big crowd. Is there like a buzz in town about the team?
There is, yeah. I mean, even Riley is like, hey, like we should like go to the one that like because I guess because they don't have hey Josh, what's up?
Nothing to see here.
Because Knoxville, I guess, doesn't have a set home location yet. They're bouncing around from like high school to high school kind of thing, and so they'll be playing a game closer to where we live. Their opener was pretty far away actually from where we are, but no, I mean I got a random email from like some random dude at Oak Ridge. It was like a blast email at Oak Ridge, like, "Hey, do you like soccer? Do you want to come to the game?" And like so, no, I think there's a pretty good spirit for the Knoxville team. So we'll see how it goes.
So are we starting a Knox
No,
podcast?
nope,
No.
no, no,
Okay.
no.
You don't care that much? Yeah.
No, I don't have the time. Although it would be funny if it was just like me and Riley, just like bickering about stuff.
In the park, eating your sandwiches, talking about Knoxville
Exactly.
Soccer Club. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair. Josh, how you feeling?
Much better. Was able to go to the game. Ended up not going to Boston because I wasn't feeling good. But then by the time the game rolled around, I was feeling great. So ended up going. Yeah, and glad I did.
You sound a little nasally. You still
A
just
little
like
bit.
getting over it, yeah?
Yeah, like I don't feel congested, but yeah, a little bit.
Are you up for a victory beverage? You don't have
I don't have it. I literally I was
Kevin has
downstairs.
his.
There you go. I did it, yeah.
Yeah, we actually since we didn't end up going to Boston, but we still had the days off. So Liz and I have been like just chilling. It's like cool. We have today and tomorrow off as well. So went to the mall, went to the Lego store, got some cool sets, was building those. Got her there's like a flower set that looks like a bouquet of flowers, and then
Yeah.
got a Imperial droid as well. So was
Yeah.
doing that, just kind of chilling. Started reading a book, and then I hear Slack. I was like, "Wow, what's that?" Oh, son of a! Ran upstairs.
Where is the closest Lego store?
Oh wait,
Oh, hey Liz.
There we go.
Oh,
victory
There we
beverage.
go.
nice. You know what? Is this feels like, was Liz watching and she realized and then she like ran it up? Oh my gosh! Wow,
That's usually what happens.
we made it, man. That's
I know.
that's awesome.
It's the sign of a successful podcast.
That's right. I was gonna ask you, where is the nearest Lego? Like,
Where's
where
the
is
nearest Lego store?
Lego store? There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, on McKnight Road, the mall.
Ah,
Is that Ross Park? Yeah, Ross Park Mall. They have a Lego store in there.
cool.
So, if you're fans of the pod, if you want to catch Josh out in the wild, you now know the Lego store that he frequents.
That's literally my first time being in that store. I've seen it twice, and both times Liz was like, "We're not going in there." I was like, "Yeah, that's probably smart. That's probably smart."
Have you seen all the memes of like you could tell that you're a real parent where like you're approaching the Lego store with the kid and you just like pick up the kid and run past so they can't see what you're running past? Yeah.
You're not going to believe this, but I don't see very many parent memes
Yeah.
in my traversing of the internet. So no, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind. I didn't realize we had one near us. I've only just been, there was one in New York we went to, and I think it was in one out in Anaheim. We'll have to check it out for sure.
It's a dangerous store. It's a very dangerous store because like all the cool nostalgia stuff is like hundreds of dollars. You're like,
yeah.
A Millennium Falcon, that looks cool. Death Star, that looks cool.
Yeah. No, when we were supposed to go to Disney, they're supposed to have a big store down there, and we told the kids, we were like, we will go look, but you're not buying it. Like anything you want, we could get like online for probably half the price. Like we'll scope it unless there's something like novelty that you could only get there. But yeah, Lego, man, we need like a Lego Riverhound set. That would be cool. They have
Highmark Stadium. Like you can build your own. I think
Highmark
someone
would be
actually
cool.
made a Highmark Stadium one. I remember in our Discord, someone was posting about it where they like had modeled Highmark Stadium themselves, and like you can kind of order like custom kits.
That's awesome. I know you can get at like they sell like as a set at Old Trafford, and I think they have the Camp Now or Camp Nou, however you say it. Yeah, yeah, very cool.
Very cool.
All right, well, I guess Josh, you cracked the victory beverage, so I guess we should talk about the victory. So the Hounds beat El Paso 1-0. That's sort of like high level. We got a goal from Russell Cicerone in the 46th minute, which thank goodness. He was really close to getting a few more, but you could tell he's been pushing for at least the past few weeks to really try to get one. So I was glad that it was him on the end of that one and the way that he buried it. Guys, lots of takeaways from this one. Kev, why don't you start us off here? Give us a takeaway.
I mean, I'd say, I was impressed by El Paso. This was a difficult game in the stretch of the season that we knew was going to be difficult. And I mean, yeah, what else can you say with an ending that we get? I mean, it's Cicerone comes out strong in the second half, and then honestly, it felt like in the second half in particular, it felt to me pretty even. We created some chances. They created some chances. El Paso are a good team. We're a good team. And then, yeah, just at the end, I felt like it was gone, right? They got the penalty. And Silva makes his case for why I should have an opinion on what goalkeeper we should have. And yeah, it's kind of the hero of the match in not just the penalty either, but and a few other saves and kind of commanding moments that he had as well. So No, just a really good result after the back of some shaky, performances in the past couple games, and it's going to be needed to continue as we have some tough ones coming up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just to put it in context, El Paso, even after we keep them to no goals, they are still the team with the most goals in the league with 24. So like to hold them to no goals is a pretty tall feat, especially considering the PK at the end. I feel like we kind of have to talk about Silva, but first, Josh, do you have a takeaway here?
So I remember we were talking about the last game and how it felt like something was a little bit off. It felt weird. It felt like, like so many opportunities couldn't connect. And like, I feel like I should feel the same way about this game. But honestly, I thought they looked good. Riverhounds looked good. Like, yes, the chances didn't all go in. And like, it would have been great if we had, buried some of those opportunities. But I never once, obviously until the PK, I never once really felt like we were, the losing team, or we didn't deserve the win. Like we did what we needed to do. The PK was BS, but anyway, it never felt all that bad as far as like us dominating that game. And they're a good team. El Paso's a great team. We talked about how many goals they've scored, and I know they had shots on target. I know it was almost even on shots on target, if I remember right. But it still didn't feel like they had that many great chances. Like I never remember thinking like, oh man, we're on the verge here. So for maybe the very end where it felt like they were attacking more than we were, and that felt uncomfortable. But overall, I was fine.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel like, the Birmingham game where we sort of get the first goal and you could just sort of feel that even though we had however many chances, I think we said that game could have ended 4-0. You still always felt like Birmingham was going to get one. I never felt like El Paso was going to get one. And even the PK, it was like, they were just gifted one. And here we go. Josh, you clearly felt that the PK shouldn't have been a PK. Kev, how do you feel about that PK call?
Someone else talk about it. I forget. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back and watch it now.
So basically what happened was, and part of the reason why I think we should talk about Silva is he gets the clean sheet. But I distinctly remember there was a keeper a few years back, and it might have been Morton. I don't think it was Morton, though. There was somebody who was always off his line. And every time we'd be like, oh, please just like stay in the net. Like, please stop. Like, and there were a couple of times that in this game where Silva was rushing out when he didn't necessarily need to rush out and just, causing us all to have heart palpitations. And this was a case where, he comes out, probably didn't need to come out to play the ball, and he like swings at the ball and the player heads the ball before he gets there, and his follow through sort of smacks the player, like open-handed Will Smith smacks the player in the head. And so the ref calls a pen, and luckily for him, he was able to save it and make up for that mistake. But Kev, now that you've gone back and watched it, what are your
refresh my memory? Yeah, no, I remember at first watch, I was like, that's ridiculous. Like that's not a pen. What are you talking about? Like it would just. And then I watched it back again. I was like, oh yeah, he didn't even. Sorry, I'm distracted by Liz's comment.
Liz was calling you out for the I'm going to go watch it now, which is just classic Kev. Yeah.
It's been time since I watched it live and since now. And then they showed the replay and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he didn't get anywhere near it and he made contact with it. And even then you can kind of go back on it. Like it wasn't like, he came out 100 miles per hour and hit the guy and knocked him over. It was kind of, they both just went up and he missed it. Mike, I don't even think so much that in my view, I don't think he really just like hit the guy like with his hand. I think that he just kind of whiffed it. It was sloppy and he shouldn't have done it. And it's still probably a penalty by the book of the law. Like if we're, reading it But it could have been soft. I don't even think the El Paso guy like expected it. Like he like when he goes down.
The coach did. I mean, the coach was like screaming bloody murder
yeah.
when it happened, but
Yeah.
you'd expect that. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, but we end up, Silva makes a good save and then clears out one of our own players in the process.
That's right. Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is he didn't actually, not that it matters, but he didn't impede the play of the game. Like the player sort of headed it where he wanted to headed it, and then Silva sort of followed through afterwards and like got him. And typically when that happens, you see the player. Well, no, I take that back. I was going to say I'm thinking of like players rushing in trying to get a shot. They knock the ball away, and the keeper cleans them out. Player didn't have a chance. I don't know. JF
What's
says
the head roll?
The head rule.
If you make contact with someone's head, it's a penalty.
I don't think it's that straightforward, but
yeah, like it's the same thing you see with like when two players are fighting after the whistle, and one like barely touches the other head.
Yeah,
goes down. It's like, well, he touched his head, therefore it's a yellow. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But like in this situation, he's going for the ball. He's trying to hit the ball with his hand. It's above the guy's head. So this is where I don't agree with being Penn, because his hand is above his head. And then when it hits when the guy heads it out, his hand comes down, barely touches his head, and he like pulls it away. It wasn't like he followed through with like a punch or through his face or something like that. It's literally like he tapped him on the head and pulled his hand back up, and suddenly it's a PK. It's like, no, it's not. Like I feel like any other time that would have been fine for most like professional games. It's just like there was nothing there. In watching the replay, it's literally like one frame you can see his hand is close to his head, and then the next frame it's up. Like it couldn't have been that bad. But yeah.
Well,
it's stupid.
So I mean, Houndsy talked about this past week. The whole keeper rotation, and is anybody going to claim a spot? I mean, Silva gets a clean sheet on the top scoring team in the league who had their chances. Do you guys feel that Silva does enough here to get a start against Tampa? Or do you think that Lilley's going to keep rolling with the rotation? And, we see Vosvik or White.
I mean, I think you ride the high that Silva's on. Because even I think he makes some good saves throughout the game. None that were like spectacular, but solid saves against a good team. Positioning was fine. Sloppy for giving away the pen. Makes up for it for the save. Ends up being, emotionally very high and happy about by the end of the game, feeling like you kind of just saved your team 3 points. And so, yeah, I mean, why not? And confidence is riding high. I'd keep running him. I don't think, it's. I don't know. I think there's still room for improvement, and I think the other keepers are good. But yeah, no, I'd play him again.
Josh,
yeah, definitely. I feel like you kept a team who has the most goals in the league at 0. So, like, how do you not give him another chance?
And had stuff to do. Like, you didn't just sit on your hands all game.
It wasn't like last week where I was like, wow, he looks really good. And you realize there were 0 shots on goal.
0 shots on goal. So, yeah. but yeah, I feel like with that situation, like, you keep on going with him. I don't, unless he's hurt or something like that. Yeah. Why would you switch that out?
I think sometimes too, all else even. Sometimes I think it's good to just kind of go with a keeper that is going to be like hyper aggressive and kind of go for everything. It makes the mind up for the defenders knowing that you'll have a keeper come out and kind of help you in those situations. And so that could be something nice as well. But
one other thing that I didn't mention off the top, Dos Santos gets on the he wasn't player of the week, team of the week last week for USL Championship. This week had a little bit of difficulty with Cheetah. got a yellow card, and then was playing really sort of rough towards the end. Lilley had to sort of take him out, sub him out, give him a breather. But again, I mean, I think Cheetah was a side that, again, Houndsy sort of talked about a little bit last week too. You always sort of feel like he's going to get one at high mark. And so to keep him off the board, I think is another huge thing. And here you have, again, a rookie going up against a veteran and held him at bay. I mean, it had to take some shots to do it, but, he did all right. So still like Dos Santos. I still think he's one of the first names on the team sheet now moving forward. But
I'm going to eat my words here, but like in the past, has Francois, aka Cheetah, actually like really hurt us when he's come back? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he scored against us, I think.
Eat those words, Kev. Yeah.
Has it been twice now he scored against us?
When he played for Miami last year. And
Yeah.
I think he scored on us in both games we played against them in Miami. Or against Miami, he scored both games, yeah.
And then who did you play for after that? Was it one of the Canadian teams or like that? Or
I can't remember where he was before that.
Can't remember.
No, he was. Yeah,
he's bounced around.
Teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so he scored against us before.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So it's always a pain. His shorts always drive me crazy because he like tucks them up his butt cheeks, but whatever.
We were making jokes that it looked like so. I don't know if you noticed, but Evan, their keeper, was not able to kick the ball ever.
Mm-hmm.
He always went short with the ball, and so we all said that Cheetah was stealing his leg days. Like, quit making Cheetah do your leg days, Evan.
Nice, get in his head. One thing that I thought was interesting tactically, and sometimes you sort of look at these things and you can't really see anything, and then there's other times you're like, that's interesting. So if you go to the USL Championship site, you can look at sort of all the stats and the positions during the game and things like that, and it'll always show you the starting position, but then it shows you the average position of the team. And what I thought was really interesting was that when you actually look at the average position of our starting 11, it was more of a 4-2-4, where you had Griffin and Forbes as sort of these holding midfielders in the middle of the field. And what made it interesting was that if you look at El Paso's average position, they were playing more of a 4-3-3. So with three guys like stacked in the midfield. So what was interesting was if that was a trend that Lilley had seen, he effectively figured out a way to say, I'm going to put Danny and Kenny against three guys, like 2v3, and free up one of our guys on defense to double up on whoever's making runs and try to cut down on their chances. And it seemed to work. I mean, if you go back and sort of look at things, it was just interesting that you would think that El Paso would have dominated the midfield, and it did not feel that way. And I don't know if that's just a testament to having Kenny and Danny Griffin as like your two midfielders, and they're just good enough to outwork the three guys that El Paso had in the middle. But tactically, it isn't always as obvious something jumping off the page like that. But I saw that and went, that's interesting. So that might be something to look at moving forward when you start to see, especially after all the success that Danny had further up the field against Birmingham, to see him play back in a holding mid again this week. I was like, that's interesting. You'd think he might stay with that. But as always, there was a method to Lilley's madness. So interesting. Just, that I'm finding more and more that there are a lot of actually really good resources on the USL's website to like give you a picture of what's going on. Ooh, as I like kick my camera. Sorry about that. Both at a team level, game level, player level. There's a lot of good stuff over there, so you should definitely go check that out. Guys, other takeaways. What else were you thinking about this one? Any other thoughts?
When was the last time? Oh, go ahead.
Nope, you.
Okay, I'll go. I was going to say, when was the last time Kelly has scored? I think we started the season where he was like, he's gonna score every game, and he's a machine, and he still is. I've still really like Dan Kelly. I think he doesn't. I think I probably had a simplistic outlook on him early in the season, thinking that he No, I'm gonna backpedal. I never really thought this. I'm just saying, like, it could have been it could have been the outlook that like all he is goals, and he's right in the middle, and he'll just score, and that's it. But I mean, he does contribute. I mean, he gets assists as well. He works off the ball and links up pretty well with Cicerone and Dixon and the like. So he's not just goals, and he contributes to other aspects in the game. That being said, he missed a game through a red card, but I don't think he's scoring for the past.
Well, and to be fair, as I was just sort of looking through the stats earlier today, I think he's tied for first in the league with goals on 6. So he has 6 goals in 10 games. So it doesn't feel like he's scored in a while.
Still
but
number,
he's averaging more than a goal every other game, which is insane.
Yeah.
So I get exactly what you're saying, but it is. I agree. I think when he came in, I was thinking he'd be more like a Nico Brett, where it's just like you just give him the ball and he just goes. And like that's it. It's just goal. And he's contributed in so many other ways that his hold-up play is really good. He gets Cicerone and Dixon involved. He gets Kenny involved. He gets Deco involved when they're all up there together. That he makes the whole offense better. It's not just putting goals in the net.
And the more goals he gets, the more likely that the other team's going to try to shut him down, which is just going to open up our other attackers. So it's like he either isn't scoring because he's getting, dogpiled on, and that just opens up everyone else. So cool. Or they're not protecting him, and he's scoring goals. So either way works for me.
Yeah, agreed. Josh, I had a question for you, and this is like related to the game, but not really related to the game. So when we scored, the camera cut to the Steel Army, and I could see Liz standing there. Was Liz on smoke duty this week?
Yeah, she usually is on the left-hand smoke. Like if you're actually in the stand, she's on the left smoke. Either me or one of the other board members on the right-hand side doing smoke, and then we have someone in the middle lately doing smoke as well, another board member. Just to keep it, more.
So we score, and everybody's like losing their mind, and I just see Liz sitting there just intently focusing on getting the smoke going, and it just made me think: when we score, are you guys actually able to enjoy it, or are you like, oh crap, and like you're like now you're working, like it's like job time? And
yes, but only for a brief moment. It's very much like, is it a goal? Is it a real goal? Am I going to pop smoke and they're going to be offside? Like, you kind of want to do that, like double check, because premature smoke happens all the time, and then you feel silly because you just have like one thing of smoke going while everyone else is looking at you like that wasn't a goal. But like, well, I know that now. So like, you have to make sure it's a goal. All right, it's good, and then pop the smoke, and then usually the yes chant starts, where everyone starts just like yelling yes, yes. And then you can enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I just there was a moment where I was like, oh, like everyone else is having a good time and you guys are working. Like you're like the security guards that like can't look at the game. You have to just look at the stands. I'm like, that's a bit of a bummer. So
let's just put in the chat. I am intently making sure children and drunks don't put their hands in the smoke. That's also a big thing. Kids see the smoke go off. They're like, oh, that's cool. Let me look at the smoke or touch the smoke. It's like, no, don't touch the smoke. It's hot.
Well, there you go.
What is it?
Behind the scenes stuff.
What does it mean to pop the smoke? Is it like, do you just open up a can of like, beer or soda? Like, what is it? Like, do you like pull a string and it goes off?
It's literally like a grenade. It has a pull string and like a hoop that you put your finger in the hoop and then you pull.
Mm-hmm.
Don't pull up, pull out. And then it starts to spark a little bit and smoke starts coming out, and then you put it down the tube. We have like tubes in the front where it goes into a bucket of sand. So
oh, nice.
Throw it down the tube so that way it kind of plumes up and doesn't like just set on the ground. Because if you just threw it in the bucket, it would just be all over the ground, and it looks unimpressive. So you have to put it in the tube so it shoots.
How many tubes of smoke do you guys bring to each game?
I think we have this year. We end up with 25 second smoke. We went down. We used to do like 90-second smoke, and that just is too much smoke at that point. Like you're just like waiting and waiting for it to stop going off. So we kind of cut it down to like 25-second smoke, and we have, I think, over like 170 or something like that. Just in the wings waiting. So we usually set off now like 3 at once for every goal. So yeah, it'll add up. But
now I'm like fascinated. Like, where do you go to buy stadium smoke? Like, is this like a dark
paintball.
web kind of thing? Or
No, it's a paintball. Like you can go to any
Oh,
like
really?
paintball. Yeah, any place that sells paintball equipment, they have smoke. We actually have to special order ours though because we do the short smoke, and they're so used to doing like the 90-second smoke or like 60-second smoke. They're like, "You want how long?" It's like, "Yeah, they make it. Here's the website. Like, it's the same company you get your smoke from." They're like, "Oh, okay, we'll special order it." So yeah, last time we picked up smoke, it was hilarious because like he was like, "Well, we're actually out on the field right now. Well, could you just meet us in this parking lot?" So it felt like a back alley deal because like sitting there, I'm like, "All right, we're parked." He's like, "What are you driving? A yellow Fit, okay." And like a truck pulls up beside us. He's like, "You guys here for the smoke?" And he had a card reader, so it's like literally like put my credit card in the machine. Like, and, thanks, guy.
That's awesome. Well, there you go, Kev. You should pass that on to the people in Knoxville so they know how to get smoke for for all their games.
Got it.
There was a couple other things that sort of related to the game, but like sort of not. One of the things that was driving me nuts in this game was our set pieces. And Kev, I know you watch more European football than I do, but there were a couple of times in this game where we got a free kick in El Paso's end, like in their half, and instead of like taking a shot, we do like a short pass and then we play the ball backwards. And I'm like, why? Like, why not take a shot at like? Is there some logic? I get like keeping possession, but when everybody on your team is further up, like put the ball in the box. Like, what do you have to lose at that point? Why are we dinking? We did it on one of our, I think it was our first corner too. We did like a short corner, and it did nothing. And I'm like, what are we doing?
I keep muting myself. Sorry, because they're like doing
birds
yard work outside my.
Yeah, no, I thought I heard birds earlier.
Well, that's that. Oh. But no, I mean, look, I think people have different reasons to do whatever. I agree with you. I think, especially when we have some of the players that have proven themselves, especially earlier on in the season, that are pretty decent in the air, Kelly included, Ordonez and the like. Yeah, it's just you're going to have different outlooks for different teams. Maybe they didn't think they had an advantage against El Paso, but no, yeah, I can't give you any more insight to that. I think there has been like studies that show statistically it's the logical move is to just don't cross it and just keep possession in their half and like keep playing that way. But then there's also other arguments that say even when you don't score off of like corners or free kicks, if you like get kind of close or even just the anticipation of it like tends to affect the crowd in a positive way and get into like, and kind of creates a more positive atmosphere amongst the players and the fans, and that's beneficial. So people kind of argue on both sides, and so yeah.
I remember we had a conversation about this a while ago about short corners and how short corners are actually like, this was like 3 or 4 years ago now. It's like, oh yeah, short corners are actually statistically more, or like on average the same or a little bit better than a full on crossing it. But kind of interesting idea. Like I could definitely see the team thinking it's better to obtain or keep possession after, like for a corner if we're already winning. It's like, yeah, do a corner, just keep that possession and keep on dribbling the ball around to waste more time on the clock. I could totally see that being, logical, because when you just throw it in the box and then the keeper just, catches it or something, it's like, okay, well now we don't have possession, we have to get it back. So
yeah, I think it's like, if you look at the total percentage of times that it ends up as a goal, the total percentage of times it ends up like as a goal kick, and then the total percentage of times where you end up ceding possession in one way or another because you can't, beat the first man on the cross or whatever. I think that's the logic behind it, versus if you look at the percentage of time that, like, if you consider a continuous stretch of possession in the opposition third as like one unit of like, measure, the percentage of times that you have continuous possession in the opposition third, the percentage of times that leads to a goal compared to the likelihood of scoring from, So I think that's how some people calculate it, but yeah.
We have a chant that says every corner is a goal. So, I mean, obviously, that's my citation. That's.
I mean, that's kind of the point, right? I mean, the fact that you guys, oh crap, it's a corner. All right, here we go. Like that doesn't count for nothing. You know what I mean? Like that doesn't count for nothing.
Yeah. If you're a stats geek, we got more stats for you. If you're not, apologies. And if you're here watching, even better. So I tried to sit down and try to think about, is there any correlation between the shots that we've been taking, the shots that we put on target, and the actual goals? Because I think, earlier this season, we were like, we're going to be getting like 4 or 5 goals a game. And there were a couple games that were like that, but it definitely feels like there's an overall drop off. Doesn't seem to be a huge correlation. I do think that it's interesting that, out of all the shots we take, roughly a third, it looks like on average, are probably on target, which is pretty decent. Even more than that, maybe 2/3 are inside the box. So we're not taking a lot of like crazy long distance shots this season. It seems like we're much more controlled. We're much more in the box. Ironically, when we don't score, we lose, because the only games that we didn't score, we lost. So like, let's score. Yeah, good. All right. So let's score and keep things interesting. But to take this sort of a step further, I know that there's been, at least myself, I've been feeling this sentiment that our average goals per game has been going down, even though we sort of had that barn burner in Atlanta. And if you look at the trend line, it is decreasing. We started off the season with 3 goals in Memphis. And, we had the games in Tulsa and Atlanta where we sort of peaked at 4. But overall, the trend line is definitely pointing downward towards, a goal a game. And obviously, it's a small sample size. It's 10 games. But something to keep in mind. We're clearly generating chances, but we are back to the Lilley special, at least for 3 of the last 10 games. They were 1-goal games. So I don't know. You guys,
I feel like you saw USL Tactics come out with
No.
that giant booklet of all the breaking down of every single team, and you're like, I want to do some of this graph stuff.
No.
I want to figure some of this out. And you literally made graphs for the episode. That's impressive.
So here's the deal. Look, I was like, I wonder if like we generated, what was it, 18 chances this game, 18 shots, I believe it was. I'm sort of like bouncing here to the notes. Yeah, we had 16 shots, 6 on target, 13 shots in the box this week. Last week we had 18 shots. And then in Louisville, we only had 6. So I just sort of seeing that, I was like, this is interesting. So I put it all in our notes. And then I was like, well, this is dumb. I don't know what this means. So then I put it into a sheet. But now at least I have it in a Google Sheet. So every game I can just update it and we can just sort of see over time how it looks. In no way do I want to be John. I had a conversation with John and he's like, I'm like burnt out because of all the work. I'm like, yeah, dude, I get it. You're writing 70-page booklets and giving them away for free. I know what you mean. No, total respect to him and what he's doing. But
so, Mike, throw up the first graphic again.
With the shots on target.
Yeah.
And remember, most people listen to this as a podcast. So describe what you're talking about.
So, well, I'm for here. I mean, a quick kind of just snap judgment assessment for what I might be looking for. So, yeah, once again, the graphic is showing the number of shots on target, shots inside the box, and goals for the Hounds for each game they've played this season. What you like kind of might expect is once you establish this kind of relationship between like the proportion of shots and shots on target and shots on the box with goals, you would kind of expect that to all kind of rise and fall game by game and keep like the same like percentage margin across the games. Like we would expect, okay, we score approximately, or like, 30% of the shots that we have are on target, and of the shots on target, approximately like, 20% go in. And once that kind of gets established, that kind of repeats itself. So here I'm just for fun looking at games where that might have deviated a bit, suggesting that, I don't know, maybe we were like more clinical. So like looking from, say, the game, but from like going from Loudon to Tulsa, you know, shots on target, shots inside the box, all decreased from Loudon to Tulsa. Wait, now, okay, sorry. Laura Ellen's comments is I'm trying to look and throwing me off.
If we're gonna do these kind of stats, we need you guys both in here so you can debate them.
Yeah.
But from Loudon to Tulsa, shots on target and shots inside the box all decrease from Loudon to Tulsa, but we score more goals against Tulsa compared to Loudon based off of what you might expect on the number of shots that we have. So that might suggest that we were just more clinical against Tulsa or something, you know, or maybe Tulsa just has a bad keeper or something, and when we score more. And there's a similar effect. I mean, it's slight, but with Birmingham and El Paso. So we both score. I mean, we score a goal across each game, but against El Paso, we actually have less shots and less shots on target, etc. So, you know, maybe we are a bit more clinical against El Paso too. So it is interesting. I think it's a pretty cool, you know, it kind of suggests some things from game to game, and I think it's pretty cool. And then can you throw up the second graphic again?
Yep.
For here, I mean, I think this probably illustrates more of like so once again, second graphic, it's just a trend line of like goals per game across the entire season so far. So earlier in the season, you know, we were playing Memphis, Hartford, Detroit, Loudoun, Tulsa. We scored a lot more goals. Later in the season, Louisville, Birmingham, El Paso, we scored less. I think this probably just illustrates the like degree of difficulty in the games. I'd probably kind of chalk this up to earlier in the season, you know, we were playing teams that we might now consider to be, you know, yeah. I wasn't going to say bad, but bad. Finishing lower in the table, and you know, Louisville, Birmingham, and El Paso, I think we all kind of agree that are pretty, you know, quality teams. So that might be a kind of scenario there where I think it's based off of like tables like this and graphics like this. It's a little more hard to kind of distinguish: are we not just scoring enough, and are we not playing as well, or are we just playing better teams? But it's, you know, it illustrates a good story.
And I'm guessing, Mike, you'll put those in our Twitter.
I can
after
share
this
that.
episode, so that way people can, you know, follow along if you're listening to the podcast and check our Twitter.
Yeah, I feel bad. Laura Ellen's like going nuts in the chat. So maybe next week, Laura Ellen, if you're available, we'll get you on here and we'll discuss those charts further. But no, that's basically what I was trying to get at, was just, is there something in the data that jumps out? Like why did we go from thinking we were going to score constantly to we're getting some chances, but we're only putting away a goal? Is there anything there? And so I think it'll just be interesting to see it play out. There was a conversation post-match about how back when the Lilley special was a big thing, we had the pizza every week. And I think it was Polanski and Mike at One Check talking about, I think that the Lilley special, wasn't it half plain, half pepperoni?
Originally, it was half plain, half pepperoni. Yeah. Yeah.
And then at one point, Polanski was right. We introduced jalapenos, but I can't remember. Was that the 2-0 Lilley special? Or was that, I can't remember. I can't remember when we brought that.
It's been a while.
Spicy.
I don't remember. It was spicy. Yeah. Maybe the game was just really spicy, and the goal was a nice goal.
Yeah. So we'll start bringing back, well, depending upon what we predict for the game against Tampa, I can bring back photos of the Lilley special. I can't remember if I told you guys, but was it birthday? My wife got me a Uni pizza oven.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So now, like, it's a little bit of a hassle to like set it up and get it going. And the first time we had it, I was like, I don't think it'll be much better. And then I was like, damn it, that's good. So like it's totally worth it. So yeah, I can take some. We'll have to figure out what if we say, let's set it right now. What's the 1-0 Lilley special? What's our toppings here?
I feel like if it's a disappointment, it's a pepperoni and cheese, half pepperoni, half cheese. But if it's a good game, you spice it up and you do the jalapenos instead of the pepperoni.
The jalapenos?
Yeah, it sounds good to me.
So against Tampa, well, we'll get there.
We'll get there.
This doesn't need to be a long answer. Very quickly, pineapple on pizza, yay or nay?
Yeah.
I've never had it. so I it's like at one point I had a pierogi pizza. I was like, how does that work? But it's literally just
because you're a Pittsburgher.
Yeah,
I know,
let's
but
say.
it's literally like mashed up like potato pierogies on top of a pizza. And
I
it
mean,
was
who
like,
hasn't had pierogies on pizza? Let's be honest here. Come on now.
It was fine. So maybe I just need to make a pineapple pizza at some point. I'm not, are pineapples in season right now? I don't think. They come from Hawaii, so it's
I'm
like
gonna say
always
there's
in season.
supermarkets,
Yeah.
Mike. We live in the future. What are you talking about? Our pineapples
Liz is saying pineapple, mushroom, and red onion. I do love me a mushroom and red onion. Like, oh, that's
our go-to
really,
pizza.
really good.
That's why she's talking about that. That's like, hey, want to order pizza? Sure, regular, and that's what we get.
Pineapple, mushroom, and red onion. Nice, nice. I like that. That's a good shout. Guys, any other points from this game or anything else you guys want to talk about here before we look at the table? Because we're 10 games in.
Oh my god, it's table time. No, I'm excited for the table. Let's look at the table.
Okay, here we go. So I got the full table, but really, let's just the playoff. The teams in the playoff section are the most interesting. So for those who haven't been looking at the table, wink, wink, nod, nod, Hounds are currently sitting in second, but we do have a game in hand on Louisville. Louisville are 2 points ahead of us. So in theory, if we win the game that we have in hand, we can pass them. But we're also only like a third of the way through the season, so let's not get too crazy about this. I think what's interesting is when I was looking at the standings last week. Not looking at the standings last week. Tampa and Miami were flipped. And Tampa got themselves a big win against Phoenix this past weekend, and they leapfrogged them. So our next 3 games are against teams that are currently in playoff contention in the Eastern Conference. We go Tampa, Miami, and then Detroit, which Detroit are only 2 points back on us, and we've played the same number of games. So for those of you who thought that Detroit was a joke earlier this season, they might fade, but they're doing what they need to early this season. So, guys, any sort of hot takes or things that surprised you from the playoff table as it stands 10 games in?
I mean, honestly, Detroit surprised me a lot. I thought Detroit was going to be trashed this season. I really did think that they were going to have a rough go just because, going up a league, everything's a little bit different, a lot to get used to. And they didn't bring in a whole bunch of players at first. They actually have been adding to the roster throughout this whole season. Mm-hmm. I feel like they're still announcing signings like once a week for some reason, even though we're 10 games into it. But yeah, so I'm surprised Detroit has been able to hang as much as they have been able to. And now, if you do look at like who's producing in that team, it is players they brought in who are not from NISA. So it's they like to call themselves the NISA All-Stars. The stars of the team aren't really NISA players. So it's kind of understandable, but it is still surprising. I do wonder, and Liz actually had this shout when we were talking about Detroit the other day, they're used to a shorter season. Like, they're not used to this many games. So what are they going to look like, once they're, more than halfway through the season and there's still more games to be played? Are they going to be able to stay up? So we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, we played Memphis first game of the season, and I think we all thought Memphis was going to be trash. They have a game in hand on us, and they're 3 points back. So, like, they win that game, they're tied with us on points for the same number of games. Kev, anything here that jump out at you?
Tampa and Miami. Wow, Tampa and Miami. I like Tampa. That makes sense.
All right. Might as well.
Tampa and Miami. I mean, yeah. Well, so. Tampa 4 wins, 3 losses, 4 draws, and Miami 4 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws. Less so Miami, but I wouldn't have expected that kind of balance between wins and losses for both those teams. So I guess particularly of late, they've haven't been able to, produce the way I expected to. But I'll be fascinated to see what kind of outfit they look like when we play them soon. I haven't been following them. I haven't been watching their highlights. I don't know if this is just they're getting bad breaks or what. But Tampa has a goal difference of 7, which is only 1 different from Detroit. Miami, on the other hand, has a goal difference of 0. So we'll see.
Yeah. And Indy isn't a total dumpster fire like we all thought they would be, which, again, it's early. But
I also do think it's kind of interesting that Louisville's doing as good as they are doing.
Yeah.
I know that, losing some key players and just like we kind of thought maybe this was going to be the year that they, weren't as good as they have been in the past. It is interesting that they've now lost one game, which, oh man, I don't know if you saw the game they lost, but playing against LA Galaxy 2, they lost, and the score line was 4-3.
Yeah.
Crazy game. It's just a crazy game, and thank you LA Galaxy 2 for giving them their first loss and making them within reach for us to, hopefully be able to get that game in hand and jump them in the standings.
Agreed. So as we mentioned, well, first of all, let us know what you guys think. If there's anything that jumps out at you from the table that you find to be interesting now that we're all technically allowed to look at it, take a look. Let us know what you think. Because I think there's a lot we can learn, but also it's only 10 games in. Like, don't get too crazy about it. But as we mentioned, next we hit the road. We face Tampa this weekend. Tampa, as I mentioned, just rolled Phoenix 5-1 after they had back-to-back losses to Memphis and San Diego. So on the bounce to play Phoenix in what was supposed to be the championship game, was it last year or 2 years ago, that got canceled because of COVID?
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years
Tampa
ago.
wins 5-1, and that was after they went down 1-0, and then they scored 5 unanswered goals. 2 of them were own goals, and they got Phoenix to take a red as well. So if you haven't watched those highlights, go check those out. Those were definitely interesting to check out. Tampa are only 2-3-1 at home, so this is not like they're unbeatable. We could definitely go in and make some noise. Jake LaCava, which is a name that we should be familiar with after the past few years, he leads the team with 5 goals, but Guinzotti leads the team in shots with 20. So I think every time you turn on, or every time the announcer said something on those highlights, he was talking about Guinzotti, which is funny to me that Guinzotti has 20 shots but only 1 goal. But whatever. So yeah. But Tampa's
What do
going
you
to
guys think? What do you guys think of their name, the Rowdies?
I mean, it's classic. I mean, I can't really say anything bad about the Rowdies as far as like their history. They're one of the more historic teams as far as like they were in, what was it, NESL back in the day. Like they're a long-standing team, so they've been around. No complaints.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I mean, part of me digs their whole brand. Like I don't know, like the mascot just being like a dude with a mustache. I'm like, okay, like, and I get there's a history there and why that's the case. But even like, I know some people hate it, but like if you go back and watch those highlights, like the neon green kits that they wore, I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like I dig that. So yeah, as an organization, as a brand, I rank Tampa up there with Louisville and us. Honestly, like I think it's pretty solid. But Kev, the fact that you brought it up makes me think you feel otherwise.
Well, because I know it's funny enough. I've listened to podcasts that cover like European soccer by Europeans. And I remember in one episode in particular, they were like talking about the most like crazy, ridiculous soccer names in the world, and they're like the Tampa Bay Rowdies. Like they're like, what's a rowdy? Like what is this? And blah blah blah. So that's what I thought of.
I mean, there are teams named City, like United, right? Like they I'll take Rowdy, Real. Like
I will say one thing that's always kind of bothered me about the Rowdies is the fact that they don't really have a logo, like a crest. Yeah. It's literally just their name.
A word mark.
I was like, what? That's so out there. Like, it's weird that they've kept it for so long. I'm surprised they haven't tried to like turn it into a crest of some sort. But it's literally just a word mark, and it almost makes me think of like more of like a baseball team or something like that. Like, not because of where they play, next baseball stadium, but it still has that look to it. Like it reminds me of baseball more than it does soccer.
Yeah, agree. I was literally going to say the same thing. Like it makes me think baseball. So,
yeah. I didn't know this, but yeah, I guess Forrest Lasso no longer plays with Tampa and now plays for, wait for it, GIF Sundsvall in the Allsvenskan in the Swedish whatever league.
Yeah. But you know who does play for Tampa? Steven Dos Santos. So you got to imagine there's going to be at least 1 or 2 dives in this game that we're all going to love.
Diving
So
Dos
brace yourself.
Santos.
Yeah. So we may get to see Dos Santos versus Dos Santos. So that could be fun. The new versus the old. But, hopefully we keep their Dos Santos just relatively quiet and we have our way. So, guys, but in all honesty, like earlier this season, we were like 4-0. Like we're going to play Tampa at Al Lang. Realistically, as Bill Gordon says, go dive in the river. Thanks, Bill. Realistically, what do you guys think is going to happen this game? Josh, give us a prediction. Give us a score prediction.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about a little bit ago, Tampa is not the Tampa of old as far as, the contenders and feeling like they're going to be the worst, not the worst, but the worst team you could possibly face up against, like up there with Lilley, that kind of stuff. I feel like this is a winnable game, or at least I would like to get a draw out of this. I don't think we should be going in expecting to lose. We'll never go in expecting to lose, but at the same time, I don't think we should think this is a, insurmountable team. 3 points is very possible. I do think it's going to be low scoring, though. I don't see this being a huge scoring game on either side. So, 3 1-0s in a row. I don't know. It seems good, but I feel like if I was going to guess a 1-0, it would have been this game. But yeah, 1-0.
Kev, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, 2 of their wins so far. 2 of their 4 wins come in games where their opponent has a red card. And
Ooh, Kev's like making it personal, like taking shots. Right? All right, go ahead.
So yeah, they're not the Tampa of old, but I mean it's a big win against Phoenix. So no, yeah, this isn't going to be a pushover game. 1-0, sure, why not? Feels about right. And at this point, I think it's just win at all costs and try to keep momentum going. Because I don't think we're playing particularly poorly. I mean, against El Paso, yeah. I mean, I didn't mention this. I don't think Dixon hits the post. We create chances. It could have been more than one. So I think that's still the encouraging thing. But no, we're due some more goals to kind of revert to the mean here, hopefully. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, we're a better team than Tampa.
You didn't give us a score prediction. I feel like you danced around that just to get out of it. Give us a score prediction.
Yeah, I like Liz's prediction in the comments. 2-0.
2-0. Okay, so Kevin, Liz both say 2-0. I think what's interesting is I like Josh's 1-0 shout, and I feel like out of context, then that would feel like we were playing poorly. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think that considering the stretch of games that we're on, considering that, we go from Birmingham to El Paso, the top scoring team. Now you go to Tampa, then you got Miami, then there's a lot we're going to be looking at. So I think that if Lilley can keep the guys focused and they can keep Tampa off the board, especially after Tampa just got 5, I think that's going to be it. I think it's going to Al Lang, come away with at least a point, and see what you can take. So I wouldn't be surprised to see us sort of line up to try to hold down the fort. And then you try to let guys like Dixon or Cicerone or Kelly express themselves a little bit. I don't want to say put them on an island and make them create some magic, but I think you win that battle in the midfield, right in front of the midfield. And then if it comes out 0-0, you walk away like we got the point. If you're able to steal 3 points, great. So I'm going to say 1-0, even though, I think Laura Ellen, you said earlier, we should be expecting a brace every game. I would love to say a brace every game, but at this point, it feels like we're generating chances. We just need to work on our finishing. And Kev, Dixon hit the post. I think Cicerone headed one over the net from the middle of the net on a diving header. Rovey had a bicycle kick that went straight to Evan Newton. So we're generating chances. We just need to tweak things up a little bit. So if it's 1-0, Josh, what are our pizza toppings this week?
This one
you just want.
Yeah, you just
want pizza. I want pizza.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think 1-0 against Tampa is not especially away, is something you should be proud of. Like this is
Yeah.
not going to be like, oh man, we only scored 1 goal and we barely got the 3 points. It's like no, even this Tampa team, you still happily take 3 points out of the Rowdies. So yeah, it's a good game. So I wanted to just say pineapples that way you actually have to have a pineapple pizza.
Well, so here's the thing. Like, first of all, I want to try the pineapple for sure. But should we like make this a thing? Like, should there be a topping that is Pittsburgh, and then there's a topping like for the other team? Like, what topping would you get in Miami? Like, what is what is a Tampa topping? Like, if you're in Tampa, what food are you thinking? Like, I'm going to eat in Tampa. I don't know.
I have no clue. I don't plan on ever going to Tampa unless I have to.
I mean, if it was Miami, I'd really be looking for some Cubanos. So maybe it would be like some kind of pork or something. I don't know.
I got nothing for you right now. I have no clue about Tampa.
Okay, so you're calling pineapples then. Okay, so maybe we'll do half pineapple, half plain. That'll be the Lilley special this week. And then like each week we can sort of switch it up. So now Susan's gonna love me. I'm gonna be like, we need to get pineapple.
Just go look at you like, no, just no.
No.
I'm good.
There we go. Bill Gordon says French fries for Pittsburgh and pork for Tampa. So there you go. So maybe we should. Gator. Maybe I'll do a pizza with half French fries on it too. And Liz said gator. Yeah. Anything in Florida is gator. So that's what we think. Let us know what you think. Thank you, everybody who's been adding to the humor in the comments. We really appreciate it. If you guys want to come hang out, see the stats in real time, we're always on Facebook. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. Most of the comments are coming from YouTube, so go hang out on YouTube, check it out, and be part of the conversation. We really appreciate it, guys. Anything else before we close this one out?
I mean, we're gonna have a couple games to talk about this, or a couple podcasts to talk about this, but a huge game coming up. The next home game is the Detroit game, June 4th. We want to pack the stadium. We want to show up for that one because we know Detroit's going to show up. So yeah, let's make sure the Steel Army section, the Paul Child stand, is full. So if you are coming to a game, anytime you plan on coming to any game this season, this is the one to come to for sure.
So I know you'll have 8 more in the stands because my crew will be there, and Laura Ellen and Justin and
nice,
and their daughter will be there as well. So we're definitely gonna have a Mongols good time at that one. So sorry, Kev, but Josh, there is
FaceTime you in. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We'll drop the camera down the smoke. The game this weekend is 7:30 at Saturday, as we mentioned. It's Outlang Stadium. I think. What Houndsy said that there's supposed to be a watch party at Bulldog. Josh,
we're gonna have we're gonna try it. That's another thing we're gonna try. We're gonna try to have a full turnout for Bulldog for that game, just because it is it's a big game, and we haven't really done anything proper at Bulldog in a while because of weekday games and Open Cup stuff and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely come out to Bulldog Pub and come join the fun.
So get the Bulldog on Saturday. Games at 7:30. Get your tickets for Detroit. In 2 weeks, if you haven't already. Well, I guess technically 3 weeks, 3 Saturdays from now. Man, lots of Hound stuff, lots of good stuff.
Yeah.
So, I guess anything else from you guys? We good?
Peachy keen.
All right. I guess French fries and pineapple. Look for the pictures this week. And actually, I might have to make it on set. My oldest son's birthday is on Friday. And typically we do pizza on Friday, but he wanted something else for his birthday. So I'll make it game day, and I'll let you guys know how French fries on pizza taste.
He doesn't want a French fry and pineapple pizza for his birthday? Come on.
Nah.
Who doesn't want that?
Nah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. Weekly reminder that Black Lives Matter. We are proudly part of the Beautiful Game Network, which is home to more than 100 volunteer writers and podcasters covering local soccer. Help us all keep doing what we're doing. Head to bgn.fm and click the donate button to help us cover our expenses, and we appreciate all the support. Otherwise, thanks, everybody. We will talk to you very, very soon.
Cheers.
Later.